you said that your goal was to end street homelessness in LA by 2026. It's now 2026.
And we haven't ended it.
We have not ended it, and we're not close to ending it. How are you so off?
Well, basically, when I said that, it was at the beginning of my term. I didn't anticipate some of the bureaucratic barriers that I would experience, but I am prepared to take those on now.
So I think we'd all agree that everything currently happening right now in Los Angeles is just so completely shameless. Whether that's the obviously borrowed election or now the post-election attempts by Karen Bass to rewrite her political identity in order to, I guess, appeal to the Spencer Pratt coalition or make it seem like she's not a crazy leftist. I'm not exactly sure, but I can tell you that just 2 days after the supposed jungle primary election took place, all of a sudden, Karen Bass is now cooperating with the Trump administration to help clean up Los Angeles. And it's not regarding any random thing. It's actually particularly in MacArthur Park, which you may remember is the exact location that Karen Bass had that big meltdown last year claiming that ICE was raiding a summer camp with kids, and everyone pointed out, no, MacArthur Park is an absolute cesspool. It's full of homeless fentanyl addicts. MS-13 runs money laundering businesses right down the street. It famously for years has been a place where you can go to buy fake IDs off the street and all this stuff, you know, drugs, all of that, right? And all of a sudden now, a year after decrying the Trump administration for showing up there, she's working with the feds to clean up MacArthur Park. And what is this about? To me, I think it's quite obvious. This was their plan all along, right? Is that Karen Bass obviously understood her political vulnerabilities, and you could really argue to a large extent the political vulnerabilities of the National Democrat Party, that Spencer Pratt was such a threat into the midterm elections because he was sort of the icon that was highlighting that stuff on a large scale. For example, the homelessness, the public safety, the general delinquence by city government to clean anything up. But then, of course, what has taken place is that supposedly this far left challenger, Nithya Raman, who you may recall used to be very close friends with Karen Bass, allegedly betrays her and says, I'm running against you in the primary as the crazy leftist, with very untenable political positions, even in Los Angeles, which is a big reason we doubt what's currently happening supposedly in the election, right? This idea that homeless encampments belong right outside of elementary schools and all of this. And then suddenly now, this is basically the opportunity for Karen Bass to shift the pro-homeless stuff away from her towards the far leftists and basically say, I don't know if I'm the conservative mayor, but I'm the centrist common sense mayor who's cleaning up the homeless guys. Don't worry about my far left challenger who's insane. And then guess what that's going to allow Karen Bass to do? Effectively cruise to re-election. And so some people are asking, oh, why would the Democrats borrow the election from Spencer Pratt? Or as AOC famously said, I don't know, the election just wanted some bread to feed their families or something like that. Because wouldn't Nithya Raman have a better chance of beating Karen Bass? Well, that's the entire thing, is first of all, they don't want to take any chances. Two Democrats locking out and being in the general election is better for them. But then likewise, I would argue, honestly, in retrospect, this whole thing seemed like a collusion attempt, right? The idea to have one of Karen Bass's supposed former friends who backstabbed her get into the race and kind of, you know, the whole plan to lock Spencer Pratt out. And then again, you know, instead of the next 5 months, Karen Bass being attacked for being soft on homelessness, soft on crime, and that also, I would argue, hurting Democrats nationally in the midterms, because as we've been saying, that's why Spencer Pratt's bigger than Los Angeles. He highlights everything wrong with the craziness of the Democrat Party. Instead, Karen Bass, the establishment Democrat's about to look like the moderate one, and in really taking that new position, suddenly she's trying to clean up LA. So this is quite hysterical. I do want to bring you this story here today. We'll discuss it and maybe what the motives are. Okay, the whole thing is quite interesting. But yeah, all of a sudden, right after the primary election, Karen Bass says, I'm going to clean up MacArthur Park. I don't know what's going on here. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. That is the best way to support our work, and it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And that said, so to take everyone's trip down memory lane, because it's probably been a while, non-native Los Angeles residents may have forgotten this story. I will actually play for you some snippets of the video we did last year, and you'll probably remember because this was a big story nationally, right? When ICE was active in Los Angeles, Karen Bass's meltdown over the whole MacArthur Park thing, and then fast forward 1 year later, it's funny how they always quietly admit that Trump is correct. Karen Bass now admitting she needs to clean up MacArthur Park, and indeed doing so. So check it out.
MacArthur Park has the potential to be one of the prettiest parks in the city. But if you visit it today, this is a sampling of what you'll see.
The homeless problem, the drug addicts, and so 24 hours just hanging out there.
A few blocks away, we saw Miguel, who just picked up his 6-year-old daughter from school. I asked him about the park. He said, it's kind of scary because there are a lot of people who are drugged up, and so we are scared to walk through there. And I reached out to LA Mayor Karen Bass's office. Her team said they are working on a statement and will get that to us later tonight.
Working on a statement. In other words, she has nothing to say, and she certainly, you could bet, had no plan to do anything or say anything about MacArthur Park until someone else stepped in and did her job for her, and apparently that was offensive. It's just so telling, right? Every single local that they talk to in the news story, everyone around the area is like, oh, that place is a cesspool. That place is dangerous. That place is terrible, et cetera, et cetera. Crime, gang activity, even with MS-13 in the neighborhood, here is all going on. It was just, they're raiding innocent families, guys. Can you believe it? They went into Disneyland and deported a bunch of children. No, that's not really the case, right?
Frankly, it is outrageous and un-American that we have federal armed vehicles in our parks when nothing is going on.
Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
Yeah, so anyone remember that whole thing? It was a summer camp for kids. Get the federal government out of MacArthur Park. What are they doing here? It's outrageous and un-American, as she says. Well, now it's general election season, and suddenly the idea of cooperating with the feds to bust and clean up MacArthur Park is not such an outrageous or un-American idea anymore. In fact, just about a day ago, take a look at what went down in cooperation with the DEA, which, guess what? Yes, that's the feds. That's the Trump administration working alongside LAPD to clean up the very place that Karen Bass claimed was just the summer camp for kids. And, in her words, what did she say? Nothing was going on there. Well, it turns out plenty has been going on the entire time. Check it out.
Of course, you can see the DEA Bearcat right next to me alongside this LAPD unit. And as we look onto the side of the streets, we see some people who frequent this area who are hopeful. They tell us tonight that they are hoping that this task force is successful in cleaning up the park. In less than an hour, LAPD made 13 arrests for offenses including public drinking and other quality of life violations. Officers also recovered needles, pipes, and other drug paraphernalia during this sweep. But paramedics were called to multiple overdoses and medical emergencies inside the park. U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley stood nearby during one of those incidents and later told us that this is just not human. And LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman was just as blunt. He said, "I refuse to let MacArthur Park be a cemetery." They stressed that this is not just a one-day thing. They plan to be here several times a week, being aggressive. District Attorney Hochman said that he invites everyone here on Labor Day. He said he will be here with his kids and his family having a picnic at MacArthur Park. That's how safe he intends to make this area alongside federal and city officials. He invites all of us to do the same.
I mean, guys, what are we doing here? This is a place that she refused to clean up for 3, almost 4 years. It's been an absolute cesspool. And then all of the sudden, after claiming absolutely nothing was wrong, we have a very aggressive enforcement campaign taking place over the next several months. They're saying, oh, by Labor Day, which is famously the time when election season ramps up, MacArthur Park will be clean, guys. I'm going to take a prediction here. I think this operation seems like it is set to conclude, I don't know, random date. Let's pick it, right? November of 2026. it's so ridiculous. And, you know, I think, first of all, is it probably an attempt to court some Spencer Pratt voters, or at least that type of sentiment? Is she going to try to pretend as if she's a good mayor over the next several months? I'm going to guess yes. I think the same will be true of Gavin Newsom, who's going to try to pretend to be a good governor for preparation for his, you know, presidential campaign. Like, this is all obviously going to happen. Although I think it does tell you a lot. Because, you know, regardless of whatever they're doing with the borrowed election at the moment, it does say something that implicitly Democrats do believe Spencer Pratt has a point. Clearly, right? They must believe that these types of sentiments are growing in the city, that people are actually fed up with the homeless stuff, and they do view Karen Bass and the Democrat establishment as being complicit in that, because if that were not the case, why would you suddenly do the about face during election season? I mean, we understand what's going on here. It's pandering, but keep in mind, they want us to believe that Nithya Raman, who I don't even know anyone who is supporting her as someone who is from that place, right? Everyone thinks she's crazy. Many LA residents are saying the same. I don't know anyone who even voted for Nithya, and then all of a sudden in the late mail-in ballots coming in after Election Day, suddenly she's beating both Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt, right? But okay, you know, if there really were that type of widespread support for some pro-homeless, pro-urban decay, pro-squalor, pro-third world disaster LA vision that she has, then why wouldn't Karen Bass currently be pivoting to the left? Why is she actually pivoting to the right to make an appeal if Spencer Pratt supposedly, you know, was a no-name, nothing candidate, and people don't actually feel this way, and you have to totally buy all of the borrowed election results that you're currently witnessing? I don't know, just something to consider. Now, that said, if they do succeed in borrowing the election, I've encouraged people, first of all, write in Spencer Pratt, because what else do we have to lose? I mean, he might as well run in the write-in campaign and just, if he's not going to win, clearly just be a thorn in their side. And yes, just keep bringing attention, keep being that national and even statewide voice for people who are against the Democrat Party. But then even further, I hope Nithya Raman nails her for this, okay? I want to see full-scale Democrat infighting take place, because objectively, at the same time, while you could say Karen Bass cleaned up MacArthur Park, maybe she deserves quote-unquote praise for that, at the same time, let's also not ignore the fact she just cooperated with the Trump administration, right? And notice how back last year, they made a big thing, oh, this is ICE, this is Trump. Now they just say federal officials. You don't get to do that. This is the very place where famously you had that big standoff with the federal government. Now, quietly, we're not working with Trump, we're just working with unnamed federal officials. Yeah, who is the top of the federal government right now, right? So I hope to see that, although I'm going to make another prediction on this front. Watch in general election season, and maybe this will tell you everything you need to know about whether there are actually two Democrats running against each other, or it's sort of the collusion campaign that we posed in the beginning. I'm going to predict Nithya Raman runs a rather lackluster campaign against Bass, right? She's not going to aggressively attack Bass. She's not, because you would think, right? If you're a Democrat trying to win a blue city, and you're the progressive far left person, Nithya should be all over this right now. She should be lighting up Karen Bass. Look, this is a secret MAGA. This person's not liberal enough, etc. She's not even doing that, right? She's just going to remain relatively quiet. And basically, this is, yes, a collusion attempt to cover up the political failures of Karen Bass by taking Spencer Pratt's loud mouth, effectively, right? Him being that microphone, out of the race. And then, you know, she's just going to pretend to be a somewhat effective mayor, frame the opponent as this far left lunatic who at the same time isn't really playing to win, isn't really campaigning all that hard. And boom, you have Karen Bass re-election. I guarantee you by January of 2027, once she gets the second inauguration, MacArthur Park, oh, what happened? Oh, look, it went back to the way it was. Oh no, that's so sad, right? You know, I think you could fully predict that to happen. But again, central conclusion here, these people are this is the most shameless thing I've ever seen, right? And it actually makes me look at the election results themselves and honestly just increase my level of conspiracy thinking, because that's insane, right? The fact that of MacArthur Park of all places, suddenly now in general election season, she is now suddenly working with Trump after that big thing. That's ridiculous, right? But anyways, that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.